Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Patty.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Oh, somebody asked me to invite them, and for the life of me, I can't remember who it is, but it'll come to me in a minute. I know we're going to have questions, and I'm hoping Arlene's on here. I thought I saw you on. If you're on here, Arlene, let me know, because I know we're going to talk about what LAHD is doing. Okay, here we go. Sorry, you guys, I'm multitasking. Let's get everybody in here. Okay, I'm going to start us off by what's happening with LAHD right now, and what we're dealing with in some of the other unincorporated areas of LA County. And Arlene will be able to tell us exactly what, but I want to give you the gist of it as simply as I know how. Okay? Do you guys remember during COVID? I want to say this started in 2019, and I could be wrong, but it was right around COVID where 144 cities within the county that are unincorporated said, we are going to pull together and create our own ordinance for those that are in unincorporated cities to make sure they're protected. Hence, the DCBA came out. Department of Business and Consumer Affairs. Okay. They are the organization that monitors the rent control in unincorporated cities within the county of Los Angeles. There's 144 cities affected by this ordinance. Okay. Also, LARSO, which is Los Angeles's city's very strict rent control. It's been in LA for over 30 years. It's all the nasty nasties you've heard about forever. That also spread like cancer and infected low-income areas of San Pedro, Sherman Oaks. It spread everywhere. We got it going on in all kinds of places. Well, a lot of us in LA County managed to dodge the LARSO bullet and dodge the DCBA bullet, and the only thing hanging over us is the state law until LAHD puts their hand in the pot and says, register with me by the end of February, and you don't have to pay your first year of dues. So now we have a new governmental agency stepping in and overseeing what's going on. I've said it for a long time. If you're in LA County, forget the city. If you're in the county anywhere, you can run, but you can't hide. They do have a new program that you're most likely going to have to register units for. I know Arlene has been looking heavily into this because she happens to be in the receiving zone of one of those. Arlene, are you available to talk briefly about what the city has done to us now?
Yes, I am.
And you are geared up and ready for battle. I already know.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a single family, a condo, a townhome, things that were exempt from LARSO, and it doesn't matter, I don't believe, any year that it was built, you are now going to be under JCO. And if you don't register by February 28th, the fee is, I believe, don't quote me, but I think it's $31.05. You will be fined. So I called LAHD, and now that you can also pay by phone. So I called them and I said, I can't do that because I don't have a statement number, because it's never been, there's never been anything on the property.
So I can't pay online. I can't register it online. I gotcha.
Right. So what I said, but I have to do it before February 28th. Otherwise I'm going to get fined. And what they told me was that that's not the case, that you can't pay it until you're billed. So they're going to be sending out a bill, and I asked, is it going to the property? Where are they sending the bill? And they said the bill is going to where the city clerk, county clerk, city clerk has on file. So I'm assuming, and I may be wrong, maybe you know, Patty, I'm assuming that it's going to where the property tax bill goes.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah. So, and then you're going to have to fill out a form, and you're going to either do like RSO, if it's a owner occupied property, you'll fill that out and you'll be exempt. And if it's a rental, you'll fill it out. And if it's vacant, you'll get another type of exemption and go from there.
And in what areas is this hitting, Arlene?
LA City.
LA City that dodged RSO, that dodged DCBA. You can run, but you can't hide. Right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And what we're seeing is right now that's LA City. Is that correct?
I know it's LA City. I don't know if it's extending beyond that. I just focused on what I needed to know.
Oh, and I was saying that specifically for a reason.
Mhm. It's probably going to be everywhere, I would assume.
Look at it this way. When we
It's got to
signed,
be everything in the county that's not under DCBA. Yeah. So,
I'm trying not to say anything because I am extremely opinionated about what the county of Los Angeles is doing to their landlords.
but what I'm curious about is when they send out the form and the place is vacant, you can say it's vacant. But then in a year, when you get the new filing for next year and it's rented, then you can pay it. Or do you have to notify them during the year? I don't know how that works. I think it's with RSO, it's just the once a year. So if it's vacant February 28th, then it's vacant.
But come on, under RSO, if it's vacant when you first sign up, it's vacant when you first sign up. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So it's just someone else governing us within the county of Los Angeles is what I'm getting at. If you
And
don't
collecting
sign up,
fees and collecting fees.
collecting, they got their hand out. They
Yeah.
got their hand out. So now we have another entity, and I knew they were going to be involved in some way, shape, or form and get their hook in us in LA County when they said if we're terminating tenancy, we have to send it to the governing party. And if there isn't a governing party, if we're using it to terminate tenancy, we have to send it to LAHD. Why are they involved? What do they have in the game? Right? So that kind of triggered me of, hey, they're going to stick a hook in deeper. And I'm wondering, and I'm just speaking out of experience, and all of you will probably understand exactly what I'm speaking of as I speak about it. For those of us that had a unit that we had to register for the DCBA, remember when we did that? And we registered our units with the DCBA, and the first year was free, and we could raise our rents up to what the state allowed. We didn't have restrictions. Remember this? Does this sound familiar? Does it sound like we in the unincorporated cities within the county got baited and switched? Because now our maximum rent increase is 4%. We had a freaking lid get put on our steaming pot. Yes? Oh, do we think LAHD might do the same damn thing? Well, the track record says, okay, so here comes the next one that's going to put their hand out, put their foot in our butt, whatever you want to call it. We must comply, or we legally cannot collect rent. We can't do an eviction. We can't. So
I wonder if they're going to also do the inspections.
give them time. If you give them time to build it, they will. Right? We saw it evolve with the DCBA. If you really go back and look at what happened over the past 5 years with the DCBA, just go back and look. No, go back to 2019. Go back 6 years. Okay. Hi, we're the new company. We're here to help us. We're a mutual party between owners and tenants. We don't pick sides, but we have this registry. You got to register your units, and we're here to help you, landlords. And blah blah blah. And then it's evolving. All of a sudden, we're capped at 4% increases. Wait a minute, they're not here to help us. But if we own property within their city, we have to comply with their rules or suffer their consequences. Did you guys hear that? Did you
Patty,
hear
I'm
it?
sorry. Patty, I
Yeah.
came late. I'm very curious and I apologize for not hearing everything. Can you summarize exactly what you were talking about, please?
Okay, but I have a question, David, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know anything about levy on jewelry?
Say that again.
Do you know anything about creating jewelry?
Uh, Not really.
Okay, because there's a new diamond designer out there with your name, and I was going to tell you I want a free sample, sir.
No, that is why you are. That's a famous thing. I'm YER. I wish I was that rich.
Hey, I'm just having fun, and if we can't do that, because all of my Widgets Way members right now are going, yeah, me too, Patty. Don't forget about us. Okay, we are talking about LAHD's new requirements. You know how if you have a property in the city of Los Angeles and you dodged LARSO and you dodged unincorporated DCBA and you're still sitting there just with the state law over you? Not anymore. Now LAHD, you got to register by the end of February. That's what we're talking about. Okay.
I've been with LAHDRSO for ages, for 10 years.
One more time, please.
Nothing new for me.
Yeah, they're now requiring that we register our units, even single family homes that are in the unincorporated areas of LA City.
How would they know?
How do they know that your single family home is a rental?
They don't. What they're going to do is they're going to later down the road, remember one thing. If you don't register it, you can't evict. You can't serve a notice. You're going to be unsuccessful in court. So what's going to happen to you is you guys that are like, I'm not going to register my single family residence. I'm going to take my chances. Let me tell you what's going to most likely happen to you. Okay. Because I see it happen all the time, especially when I worked at the law firm. We can run, but we can't hide, right? So what'll happen is when you go to file a notice or serve a notice or start an eviction process for whatever reason, and it may be 5 years from now, I'm just talking, because life happens to everybody from time to time. Okay, so your tenant face plants, they can't pay the rent, you need to start an eviction. Before you can serve the notice, you're going to have to go register that unit, and they're going to charge you all the back fees. Okay, so if you owe 5 years of registration, they're going to charge you 5 years of registration and 5 years of late fees. Then once it's registered, you should be able to serve your notice and start your eviction. But that's how they're going to control it.
But if the tenant wasn't there for that period of time, if it was just a 1-year lease, and then would you have to return all the rent for that year also, because it's not registered?
As far as having to return the rent, that would be an argument that I would pay an attorney to argue for me, because not withholding rent has to do with breaching the warranty of habitable premises, has nothing to do with whether I'm in compliance with the city's ordinance. So I'm not saying that I would win or lose that. Remember, there's no case law, but I, who doesn't like to pay attorneys, will pay an attorney to do that.
But if you have LARSO and you don't have your units registered, you can't collect rent. So
you can't legally collect rent. So what they do then, on what I've seen happen, let me rephrase, okay, is in order to be in compliance, is you have to be registered and hold a certificate. They don't care what you've done in the past. It's not about your history. It's about your current events. Are you current today? If
I
you're
see.
current today, you can move forward. If you're not current today, you can't move forward. So you got to do what it takes to make it current so you can go forward. That's how they hold your foot to the fire.
So how do they find your address or where to even mail something like that to?
Tax
If-
records. Tax record.
But if they don't even know that you're renting your home,
They're
They
going
can
to mail
probably
it to the address.
Google it on Zillow or something on the internet, no?
Exactly. They can watch Zillow. They can watch advertisement. They can do all kinds of things if they really want to. The reality is how they're going to get you is when you go to file a legal issue.
So can I clarify, this is about that new fee for like people that are in the city that are non-rent stabilization ordinance, but it's that just cause fee thing?
Right.
Is
JCO,
that what we're
correct.
talking? Okay,
That is what we are discussing. The new form of control in LA City.
So they're
So
not
what-
gonna notify you. They're not gonna notify people. You're not gonna find it in your tax record, in the tax bill going, if you're renting this property, you need to do A, B, and C. Is that correct?
No, they said they're gonna be sending it out in March. Is
Oh,
what
okay.
LAHD told me.
and does that fee also apply? I mean, it applies to everyone, including RSO units too, right?
That's separate.
Okay, so we
Not the
just,
same fee?
It's not the same thing. They're
No,
gonna be,
but wouldn't a just cause fee logically be imposed on everyone? Or is this like registering firearms or something like they're making?
it's kind of like RSO, but for single town and condo.
Okay, I don't know what happened to our Zoom meeting, everybody, but I need to just do something really quick and we'll keep talking, okay? We don't have to stop. But all of a sudden, like 15 people just got on our class. So with that being said, let me tell you guys what we're talking about. The city of Los Angeles has implemented new bureaucracy and bullshit. Sorry. Let's cut that out and rephrase. The city of Los Angeles has found a new way to control us. So those of us that have dodged RSO in the city of Los Angeles, and we've dodged DCBA because we're in an incorporated area, but we're exempt. They caught us now. Now LAHD under the JCO ordinance is making us register our properties. We must do so by the last day of February this year, or we can be fined. So just so everybody hopping on knows what's coming on, LA has figured a new way to control us. That's all. But that's what we're discussing is registering for that. So this has to do with City of Los Angeles. Everybody take a deep breath. You're fine, Allie. I would have called you with my hair on fire if we had a problem, darling. How will they know that the property is a rental? You guys, you want me to be real honest with you? It's not difficult for them to find out, okay? And I'll tell you why. All they have to do is run the utility bill report with the tax record and see if they match names. Arlene, I am being asked what's the website to register the unit. I believe it's lahd.org, but can you please verify that?
It is, but I found it very difficult to find on there.
Okay, she's being honest.
But yeah, it's there and you have to kind of search for it. And it asks for your APN number and your statement number. So if you haven't received a statement yet, you can't pay it.
And let me answer Ivana's question really quickly. The answer is no, you can't. Here's the reality. It's not your tenant's fault that it takes 5 to 7 days for their rental payment to process. That's your processing person's fault, okay? Make sense? If you're running out of LA area, I highly suggest and strongly recommend, and you guys, I know this is probably gonna come to you reversed, but bear with me, okay? Call this guy, his name's Sev, he's a sweetheart, and tell him that Patty knows a lot about hockey now because of you, because this is a very true statement. But we went to a bougie hockey game together, me and this guy, right? Right here. And everybody was up hobnobbing and chit-chatting and networking. Not me and him. We were in the hockey game. Kick his butt, get him. You know, we were having a good time. We bonded. I talked to him. He's the one that's offering us save our asset loans, and you're going to a direct lender, cutting out a middleman. So call Sev. He's at First Century Bank. His direct number is 310-867-6811. His cell phone number is 201-888-5168. Val, I saw what you wrote. I'm trying not to laugh. And here's his card. He's with First Century Bank. They do a lot of stuff with AGLA. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's probably reversed. So I gave you his numbers. I gave you his name. All you have to do is say you're a Widget's Way member. He's going to be like, what do you need? How can I help you? He'll even set you up a separate account for each one of your properties for no additional monthly service charge. So if you have 35 doors and you want 35 saving accounts or 35 checking accounts, so you can go shut it off so your tenant can't pay you, he'll help make that happen. No additional charge if you're a Widget's Way member. Oh, take advantage of that, you guys. I do. You should. Okay, I saw some more stuff coming in, so bear with me, okay? Yes, I said boozy. Boozy, bougie, bougie, boozy event. Usually when AGLA has an event, and I'm not down speaking, but usually it has to do with property owners and property managers. And with that said, we could all use to take the edge off every once in a while. So usually when AGLA has something, there's wine involved or some kind of the like. They usually have a bar. What can I say? Hang on. I have a vacancy coming up at the end of the month. The tenant was paying $15.79, market's $2,000. Can I charge market or are there restrictions? Allie, I'm going to say this for everybody else, not for you, okay? You can charge market rent. You can, but make sure that you're charging apples for apples. Don't take the most expensive 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that you can find on apartments.com and go, okay, that's market rent for me, because that's not how that works. It has to be apples for apples, okay? When we go buy a pack of chicken breasts for $5.99 a pound, okay, and we need 1 pound, we're looking for that amount, right? If we find another package of meat and it has less in it, we have to buy 2 packages, right? Like for like, apples for apples. If you don't have a fireplace and that other one does, then it's not like for like. If you don't include parking and the other one does, it's not like for like. Paying attention? If you haven't remodeled since 1977, okay, and that place was built in 2015, it's not like for like. It's got outdated fixtures. It's got outdated electrical amperage. It's got, are you paying attention? So make sure when you are pricing market value that you are pricing apples for apples, not apples for lemons. Okay? That's how you're going to get yourself in trouble. Look at it this way, okay? Right now, I can't do anything with a new listing coming on the market that's over 10% of market value or I'm price gouging, right? Right? You with me? Okay. So I look and I see that there's a 2-bedroom apartment for $4,000 a month. So I go, bam, I'm going to list mine for $4,000 a month. And I list my 1978 apartment for $4,000 a month. Did I just raise it over market value? Did I just raise it over 10% of market value? I'm squeezing my cheeks with you. Okay, that's where you need to be careful, especially if you're bringing on a new listing. Make sure it's apples for apples and you're not going market values this much because Zillow says so. No, what does that house have you don't? What do you have they don't? They could be under market value. You could be asking for more. Okay, do your research. Apples for apples. Don't just look at the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms. It's not fair to you, and we don't look good in orange. Remember? Okay, that's where your hiccup and your headache is.
A quick question, Patty. If
Yes.
you don't rent your house, either your family lives in it or you're not renting it, you don't have to register it then. Am I correct?
Correct, but once it becomes a rental, then you do.
Okay, got it.
I just saw something and I want to answer a question because it was one of my sisters. Andrea, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's your right as an owner. So her question was, can you put in the lease contract that the owner can sell the property at any time? Yeah, you can put it in the lease contract, but the reality is it's your right as an owner. The buyer assumes the lease.
Okay. Thank you.
The buyer assumes the lease, okay? So the lease protects the tenant and the buyer has to honor and accept that. So that's where that comes in. But other than that, you don't have to disclose that. That's your, yay, it was something we don't have to disclose. It's our rights as an owner to sell our property whenever we choose to do so. The buyer would then have to assume the lease, and that's what protects the tenant.
The city today in their meeting was saying that people are asking that are going to rebuild, can they rebuild with an ADU so that they can live in the ADU while they're rebuilding the main house? But they haven't been notified that that's going to now make them a multi-unit property.
Well, you want to know what makes it even worse? Is they can't approve the permit for them to live in that ADU until they have a building to attach it to.
Well, that's interesting.
Wrap your head around that. Because I'll tell you right now, I've been dealing with one of those for the past 5 years. Okay. House burned, or mobile home burned several years ago. Owners put a fifth wheel on the property, lived in the fifth wheel, built an art studio first. You know, hey, gotta have a place to go to the bathroom, flush the toilet, that kind of stuff. So they built their ADU first, lived in the fifth wheel, and then had a workshop, a garage, a shower, made a makeshift kitchen in there. They made it work, whatever. Then they built the house. The house is now under final construction, but until they sign off on the house, I can't get the sign off on the ADU to attach it to. The ADU can't come first. So they can't get a certificate of occupancy on the ADU until the house is completed, just so you know. Just so you're aware. But yeah, it makes sense.
They're going to have to change that.
Well, exactly. It's how are you going to let them live in a shed? Because come on. How are you going to let them live in a shed until it takes them 5 more years to build their house? Right? Oh, yes. Very much different. Very, very much different. Well, they live in the RV and not in the ADU. Exactly. You're catching on. You're catching on. They shower in the ADU. They cook in the RV. They sleep in the RV. They got a 2-car garage now. And then when the house is built, they have a grandma studio, guest house, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to call it an ADU. So I got a question for all of you, okay? I have a family member that is currently displaced because of the Altadena fire, the Eaton fire, okay? Okay. Her house didn't burn. She suffered severe damage due to smoke and water because when those air tankers drop all that water on the top of your house, if you have skylights, it comes right on through. Who would have thought? The pressure of the water busts through those skylights. And then comes the smoke, the soot, and the FOS check in your house. Can you imagine? Oh my God. Okay. She doesn't need a place to live. I want to pick your guys' brains. Help me out here, okay? Because she's now asking me, and I'm like, let me ask my whole team of people and let's all think about this. She doesn't necessarily, they're telling her she can probably move back in 4 to 6 months. Okay. She doesn't necessarily want to move back in there because it's one of the only houses on the whole freaking block. So that means for the next 2 years, she's going to listen to construction all day and on the weekends. And she's the only house up there. That's kind of weird and a little creepy. I mean, just think about it. Okay, so you guys are with me. So she doesn't necessarily want to move back in there per se. She could sell, but she says it makes more sense to rent it out to somebody that lost their house and is rebuilding in the area so that they can keep an eye on it. That would make me feel like I was giving back to the community or doing the right thing. And I looked at her dead in the face because this is the first thought that came into my head. And forgive me, but I am me. And I said, why? So in 15 years, you own a 65-year-old house in a neighborhood full of new construction. What's that do to your property value? I mean, your house was built in what, the 80s? Okay, so you have a house that's 50 years old in a neighborhood of all brand new construction. What does that do to your value? I don't know, but I don't want to own that house in 10 years. I'm just saying. That's me thinking out loud. I just want to know if you guys have an opinion or a thought, because I'm thinking she should sell that property to somebody that's rebuilding, not rent it. That's just my opinion because I wouldn't want to be holding that property 25 years from now. When all that new construction comes in, it's all brand new construction, right? It's her house that devalues the neighborhood. Ooh. Oh. Ah. Huh. Yeah. So definitely things to think about. I just thought I'd plant something in your guys' head. Miriam, I had a tenant who was paying below rent for 7 years. She too was paying much lower than the other 4 units. She was there for like 3 years. I just invested $30,000 at complete renovation, everything new. It's been vacant since August of 24 due to an eviction. May I charge over the threshold rent and LARSO? Listen to me carefully.
Patty, I'm so sorry. That was a typo. She was there 13 years.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't care if she was there 5 minutes. I don't care if she was there 40 years. At this point, no one in Southern California has vacancy decontrol. So what that means is if you have a vacant unit ready to hit the rental market, you can list it at market value. Do not list it over market value, especially right now with the state of emergency and all the fires. It will land you in an orange jumpsuit for 6 months and empty your pocketbook by at least $10,000. Okay? None of us look good in orange. So when we're bringing a new listing onto the market in a state of emergency, we want to be careful to list it at market value, not over market value. If we list it over market value, we get in trouble. Patty, what determines market value?
Right.
Zillow? Ask your agent or broker to do a comparative market analysis, also known as a CMA, on the rental for that property. Why am I telling you to ask an agent or a broker to do that for you? Because then they gave you the number. Oh, dead silence. I love this. And I know you guys aren't all talking, but that makes sense to you, right? It lets you pass on some of the liability and responsibility. Well, I'm sorry. I contacted a professional real estate agent and asked them to do a comparative market analysis. Here's the report they gave me. The median price is here. This is what I listed it at as market value. Where you get into trouble in the state of emergency is when you're over market value. How can I see all of you doing that in error? By not advertising apples for apples. This one's $4,000 a month, so I'm gonna do 4,000, but you don't have a garage or a spa or a community pool or valet service or dog walking or trash service, or you get what I'm saying, you guys? You paying attention? You really want to protect your asset, hire an agent or a broker to do a CMA for you on the rental aspect of it. Then it's their professional opinion, not you pulling it out of thin air. Aren't you proud of me, Val? I just used a good analogy. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Twinning. Hey, I want to know your thoughts on using social media like Facebook Marketplace to list a property. Same for Craigslist. I know there's tons of scammers and I tend to use language that would scare away any non-serious people. Thoughts? It is a plethora for bullshit. So if you're into the bullshit, you go right ahead. Craigslist is a cesspool of just that. It's a cesspool. I want to say something, but I don't. You can. Okay, here's where I'm gonna look. I'm gonna lose at least one Widget's Way member right now. Okay, and I hate doing this, but it's me being honest with you. Okay, and damn it, it cost me my own paycheck. But at least I'm telling you the truth. Okay. Craigslist is a cesspool. This is my own personal beliefs, but if you're in a relationship with someone else, I commit to that person completely, completely. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am very loyal when I'm in a relationship, and I expect the same in return. I'm not into an open relationship, and I sure don't want to be involved with swingers, because that is when you swing from one partner to another while you're in a marriage. No, thank you. Okay, that is not for me. They advertise swingers on Craigslist. I'm not going to advertise my house where they're advertising that. Okay, now watch. At least one person is going to cancel their membership because I gave my personal opinion. You watch. Sorry, I know, but Craigslist is a cesspool for all kinds of stuff. It says, hey, come screw with me over here. Even tenants don't like to utilize it because there's so many scams that go on it with people pretending to be a landlord, taking their money, and then it's not real. So stay away from Craigslist. Facebook Marketplace, you're just exposing yourself to social media and you could get ridiculed and everybody has an opinion. So be ready for that. And that's my opinions on those. But please, for the love of God, stay away from Craigslist, please. I have to deal with cleaning up more messes off of Craigslist. Yeah, it's many scams. It's not just housing that's an issue. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on there. And if I offended somebody with my beliefs about my own personal relations, then please know that those are my beliefs and I don't instill them on you. But I want to warn you about what's going on over there. That's all. Okay, not trying to upset or offend anybody. But if you didn't know, at least now you are educated. And if it offended you, at least I offended you and not someone else. Okay. All right, somebody else, what do we got here? Yes, there are many scams on Craigslist. Val, I think you, Patty, will get a kick out of this. A pal of mine in Apple Valley, okay, right where I live, folks, rented an ADU on her property recently. The new renter was clearly not familiar with Apple Valley. They first complained about the wind. Oh God, that happens on a daily, and all the agents up here lie about it. They lie, horrible. Then they complained about the internet service and asked for a discount on the rent. I told her to tell them to move out and let them know out of their lease immediately. She should let them know that the winds do that on a daily. Welcome to the desert. Wait till the summer comes, the heat's added to that and it dries up your skin and your eyeballs as soon as you walk out the door. Welcome to the desert. Okay, this needs to be disclosed. This is this environment. Ah, the environment. Oh, there we go. What was the other issue? It wasn't just the wind, it was something else. Hold on, I gotta go back and look. Internet service, is she including all utilities with the ADU? Because if that's the case and they're not happy with the internet service, here's how I would use that. I'm sorry that it's not up to your liking. I'd be more than happy to let you out of your contract. There's your out right there. They'll see property located in Marietta. The HOA requested that the tenant leave the property for 4 days while they do a termite treatment. The owner is giving the tenant a rent credit for those 4 days. Is there something else the owner should do? Yes, they'll see there is. I have to ask you questions though. Is the tenant in a lease term? Or is the tenant on a month to month? Because technically they should be placing them in a hotel or asking them to contact their insurance company, but they need to give what I'm gonna call a reasonable accommodation, okay? Meaning you're putting them in a hotel, giving them a food credit, a laundry credit. I know it's in Marietta, I get you, but you still need to at least give them reasonable accommodations.
Oh, they are on a lease and it will
Then-
expire
Then
next.
you need to find them reasonable accommodations. So you need to put them in a hotel, an Airbnb or something for those 4 days.
Oh, so it's not just rent credit.
No, reasonable accommodations. Look at it this way, okay? And work with me, Belsie. If I'm in a lease and I'm in Marietta, okay, and the only place for me to get a hotel is Temecula. A hotel's about $120 a night. Agree with that statement?
Yes.
Hotel's $120 a night. If per
Yes.
diem's only $80 a day, that's not fair to me, the tenant.
Oh, yes, the credit will be like $78.
It's not reasonable.
Okay, got it.
Okay, plus you gotta add food in there unless they're in an Airbnb or something that they can cook. If they can cook meals, you don't have to pay for them to eat out. Does that make sense?
So they have to cover their food as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at it this way. If I told you you have to be out of your house for 4 days, is the only expense you're gonna have putting a roof over your head? No, you gotta feed yourself too. And then if they need laundry service in those 4 days, that's gonna fall on the owner also.
oh,
Shouldn't
wow.
Put under renter's insurance?
They can try under the renter's insurance, but they're being displaced not to a natural emergency disaster or an emergency situation. This is planned. So it falls on the owner.
Thank you, Patty.
No problem. And I'm just talking out loud. You can try the insurance, but I'll tell you right now, he'd be like, this is a planned termite remodel. Yeah, we're not getting involved unless your owner's leaving you on the street. And then we'll get involved, but then we're going to send the bill to the owner. That's how that works. Okay, so just, it's better off if you just do it right from hello. And then I got a question. I was in Lake Elsinore yesterday, and one of our Widgets Way members came to that meeting because they told me that it was them and they'd see me today. I just want to know if you're on here today because you won a necklace. And I was going to tell you, shh, be quiet, because Julia won a purse back in November, and I haven't been able to get it to her, but I'm taking it to her tomorrow. Hi, Patty. We're filing an eviction. Oh, Holly, I'm reading yours. On our LARSO tenant for non-payment of rent. He owes way above threshold. Our parcel has 2 units on it. Do you advise notifying the other tenant who lives on the property in a separate dwelling that you are filing an eviction against the neighboring tenant? We'd like to have extra eyes on the tenant that we're evicting if he does any funny business. Holly, are you sitting down? We can't disclose personal private information from one of our occupants to another one. We get in trouble for that. It's blatant harassment. You can't tell anyone that they are being evicted. Anyone.
Got it.
Okay. So what you can tell the other tenant is that you'd like to put up some, I'm choosing my words carefully because I need you to use the same language. Okay. You
Okay.
can tell the tenant that is not being evicted that you'd like to put up some surveillance cameras in the common area and utilize their Wi-Fi. You'd be more than happy to give them a rent credit every month for the use of their Wi-Fi and power for the common area cameras.
Got it.
Okay? Don't aim one right in somebody's window or right at their front door, but if it's shooting down a walkway, down a driveway, and happens to catch their front door, that's fine.
Got it.
Not aimed right at their door. Got it?
Got it.
Aimed this way, going all the way down out to the street, showing their front door along the way is what you're looking for.
Got it.
Broad angles, not narrow vision.
Got it. Glad I asked.
No problem. And the key there is surveillance. Do
Right.
not use the word security.
Okay.
We were in an email with Sasha, is that correct?
That's correct. Sasha
I
advised.
got you. Did you hire your counsel yet?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
No
Good.
problem.
I'm literally have the unlawful detainer. I'm signing away on the unlawful detainer and praying for a miracle because January's been a crap month.
You know what? It really has. And it was like 2025 showed up and said, I'm here, hold my
Yep.
beer, watch this.
Yep. Needs to go.
Yeah, I'm already over it.
Yep.
We're not through the first month yet. I'm done.
Yep.
You know, it's been interesting, but you know what? It tells me that it's going to be a very interesting year and keep us all on our toes.
Yep.
If they're on a month to month, Arlene says give a rent credit. Yes, Arlene, you can do that, but it becomes a little tricky. If they were on a month to month, I could actually terminate tenancy for it, believe it or not, outside of LA County. This is where Arlene goes, wait a minute, what'd you say, Patty? So hold on, we're gonna go backwards just a step,
No,
everybody.
this was for the fumigation.
This is for the fumigation for the termite, okay?
Right.
I see that the termites in Marietta. So it's outside of LA County. We're actually in Riverside County in Marietta. So if they are not in a term, landlord can most likely terminate the tenancy with a 3-day notice to quit because they need to do the termite inspection and the tenant would need to be relocated. After the 1-year contract, it's easier for an owner to terminate based on a breach of warranty to provide habitable premises rather than put them in a hotel or accommodate them, which is what you need to do when they're in a term. Does that make sense?
Right, but for the two days that the house is gonna be tented, I just have to give them a rent credit for those days.
Correct. A
Okay.
rent credit, but you need to give them reasonable accommodations because that's what we have to provide them by law is a reasonable accommodation. We provide their accommodations. So when we tell them that you can't live in the house, we have to give them something reasonable. So if their per diem is $300 a day and their hotel in the area is $120, then that makes sense. But if their per diem is $78, like Belsey was saying, and a hotel in the area is $120 a day, then you're not providing them with a reasonable accommodation. Per diem isn't enough.
But if the per diem is enough and we set it up because they're gonna be on vacation, so they weren't gonna be around.
Perfect. Then you negotiated something. You know what you did, Arlene? You did your very best management skills and negotiated yourself right into a fabulous way to handle that situation. Wait till your tenant's going on vacation and then
Right.
do the termites thing, because then you're only giving them per diem. You don't have to provide a reasonable accommodation because they weren't going to be there anyway. And this makes it very convenient for them.
Right. Okay, good. When we're done, before we end, I just want to tell everybody about a story that I
Okay.
just,
$20 per meal per person per day, including infants. So even if they have a breastfed infant, you have to credit them per meal per day. If you're under DCBA, they have their own per diem requirements. Buckle up because you're not going to like this. And this number has changed. Okay, it has gone up. What I am quoting you is the number from 2021, because that is what is stuck in my head. And it's still an atrocious number, but know that it's higher than this now. Okay, I promise you. Per diem for any property under DCBA is $266 per day, regardless of how much daily damage is there. And so it's $266 per day plus $66 for each adult per day for incidentals and meals, and $33 for each child 12 and under per day. So $266 plus 66 for each adult plus $33 for each child each day, regardless of how much your rent is. That's how much you pay. And that number is higher than what I am speaking of. Do not quote me to that number. Okay. I need to update it in my Rolodex in my brain. I haven't done it yet. It's ludicrous and atrocious that they're telling us what per diem is. What if my rent's $600? 2 days I got to put my tenant out of the place, and that sucked up the whole month's rent with 2 days. Oh, that's what they're trying to do, right? Sorry. Okay. Let me see. I think there's one more question. Arlene has something she wants to talk about.
But before you go any further, is that also applicable to Section 8 tenants as well?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Section 8 doesn't. If you have to relocate a Section 8 tenant and provide them reasonable accommodations, you have to do the same thing. But you're looking at their rent as a whole, not the portion they pay versus the portion Section 8 pays.
As a whole.
So if their rent is $3,432 every month, then 1/30 of that is what your per diem is. Okay, they don't break it down by what the tenant pays versus what the federal government pays. It's just all a monthly rent amount. All right, Arlene, what do you got?
just a disturbing situation of an owner of a duplex across from me that I just wanted to share how the tenants have held this owner hostage. They had their property up for sale. It's been up for 2 years. The sign finally came down because the tenants it's LARSO wouldn't move out. They offered them $150,000 to move. They turned it down. The tenants are paying like, I think 11 or 1,200 a month for, I don't know, it's a 3 or 4 bedroom part of the duplex. The tenants wanted $500,000. They went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They finally have negotiated that they can live there rent-free, I think for another 6 months, and they're getting $250,000 to leave. I just feel terrible for the landlord because they have not been able to sell their property. So just kind of upsetting to hear that.
It's extortion. And this
That's
is
exactly what it is.
the settlement agreement in a court case, correct?
Not to my knowledge. I think negotiated with the landlord and I don't know, realtor,
And-
attorney, I don't know. That's a lot of money.
This is the kind of story that needs to be shared with AGLA so an article can be written about it and we can educate our owners. We need to understand that a shift happened when, I got to be careful what I say. And I can hear Val going, just say it, Patty. No, Val, no, it was bad. A shift happened when the new president stepped in and the old president stepped out. Wait, Patty, what do you mean? Inauguration? No. The change happened when voting was completed. Okay. We saw a change in the court system then. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So when new administration was appointed, when Trump was elected, let me say it that way. When Trump was elected, we saw an immediate shift in court cases regarding relocation amounts. We saw immediately that those high dollar amounts weren't what was being settled for anymore. It was much less of an amount. I'll give you an example, okay? Have a family member that was involved in a Category 5 flood in his rental property. He cleaned it up. He got a staph infection. His landlord said, too bad for you. Keep paying your rent, but you can't live here. 7 months of being displaced from his property. He couldn't live in his unit, and his landlord required him to pay the rent the entire time. 6 months into it, he finally calls Aunt Widget, help me. And I'm like, what did you do? So I talked to him, listened to him and everything. And I kept telling him, this needs to get to settlement quickly. You need to settle this fast. And he didn't understand why. And I kept telling him, you need to settle this fast. You need to settle this fast. The reason being is once administration changes, usually everything shifts. And that's exactly what happened. In a case where they were talking about settling at 125,000 and he held out for it, he ended up settling for 45K. There's a shift. I'm telling you, those high dollar amounts, they're just not awarding them in courts anymore. They're just not being issued anymore. It's just different. So we're not seeing those high dollar settlements and those things like we were seeing them. So to hear that somebody's holding them hostage for 250,000 is ridiculous. At that particular point in time, I'd find a reason to evict. Even if that meant I want to move back in so I can fix it up and sell it.
But, you know, Patty, 45,000 to me, is an unreasonable number in and of itself. You don't think so, I know, but
I completely and totally agree with you. It depends on what side of the fence you're standing on. But they were talking at 125,000. As soon as new administration took over, that immediately dropped to 45K. And I agree with you. I think it's a ridiculous amount of money. I don't think any of it should have ever happened.
okay.
I'm not agreeing with, but what I'm trying to tell you guys is, remember, Patty sees things on both sides of the fence. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to tell you how it is. But what we're seeing is when new administration came over, those settlement amounts are dropping. They're for less money, not more money. And I get it. It's hard to come up with a reason when they've been there a long time under all the bureaucracy to ask them to leave. And if you don't have a cause for eviction, you have no choice but to pay whatever they want in extortion. That shouldn't be allowed. There should be a cap amount that says no. An owner should pay no more than $50,000 and you need to be out in 30 days. And if you're not, the sheriff's coming to throw you out. I'd sign that all day long. I don't agree with giving them 50K, but I'd rather give that person 50K than pay my attorney 35K, give them 35K, and then lose 35K in rent.
So I hear you loud and clear, and I agree with you. And we all say what should happen and what can all of us do as a unit, one unit, and say, hell no, we're not going to take it anymore. What will it take for us to reverse all of this? Do we contact Trump and say, Trump, this is the California program that we have. We need you. What do we do?
Well, the first thing that we need to do is get rid of people like Gavin Newsom that will continually, and Karen Bass, and I'm talking out loud, that will continually try to protect, and I'm choosing my words carefully. The majority of voters. Because right now that's not us as landlords, okay? Some of the things that have been happening and some of the things that they're doing, like, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but they tried to put a ban on evictions in LA.
Right.
No evictions for the next 12 months, none, boom, like that.
Hey, Patty, isn't it true that, oh, I think we were talking, we always talk, but I think 90% of the people who are in Congress out in the LA area are renters. You know, because a lot of them have houses in different areas, but they got to live in LA. So they're going to make the rules to help them. Am I correct on that?
Isn't that
You
a
want to know something funny? I'm going to tell you guys something funny, okay? And this is only meant from a humorous standpoint. So please accept it as just shrewd humor, okay? I'm 90% sure that's why they made it legal to smoke marijuana in California, so that they could get high and come up with new laws that don't make sense and screw us over.
I hear you.
Because some of the shit that they come up with makes no sense at all whatsoever. Why would we stop evictions in a town because of a fire for people that don't have financial troubles?
Makes no sense.
I didn't see Mel Gibson walking through that line for new pairs of pants.
Right.
And God love my family member. After 4 days of wearing the same outfit, he finally turned to his wife and said, "Honey, I've been wearing the same clothes for 4 days. I'm going to go to Walmart today and buy some new jeans." He never said he was going to go get in line and get some free clothes. No, he's going to go to Walmart and buy what he needs. He didn't say he was going to Macy's. He said he was going to Walmart. But hey, at least he's handling it himself.
So what became of that this morning? Because I heard about it, that they were trying to, number one, defer all evictions for a year and no increases in rent for a year. Now, I'm like you, Patty, it makes no sense because none of my properties were affected by the fires and none of my tenants were affected by the fires. I have a pending eviction. I go to trial on Monday. Why would anybody come up with something so ridiculous, other than the fact, just like you said, they are all part of the scheme of things, because they're rotten asses. That's what all those politicians are, in my opinion. And I don't
The
mind.
majority of voters.
But were these things voted upon, or they sat in a closed conference room and came up with this? Because according to the LAHD inspectors that I've spoken to, they said they agree with me. We feel sorry for all of you landlords. But the bottom line is we don't set the rules. They sit in a conference room, they come up with the decisions, and they tell us to go and execute them. He said, that's how it really is. We don't agree with it, but it is what it is. So with that being said, LAHD is not creating the rules. They're not creating the laws. They're saying that all of our politicians sit in a conference room and say, hey, this is what we came up with, and this was what we want you to execute. So it almost sounds like it wasn't voted upon by any of the voters other than themselves.
You're getting it. Oh, do you mean where we, the people, make a decision and everybody has to go with it?
Yes. That's
Oh,
yeah.
That's how that works.
And that's the reason, to me, it's got to be someplace written in the law, someplace written in some of these high-end cases that went all the way to the Supreme Court and beyond. It's gotta be something in there that makes that a conflict of interest where we should be able to fight it. It just seems like we just sit back and take it, but I don't want to take it anymore. And I don't want to have to give up my property because of a whole bunch of dickheads. I just don't want to do that.
I don't think any of us do. I mean, we don't. But at the same point, how we're screaming at the top of our lungs. They don't listen. They don't care. We're outnumbered. People are saying amen. Can you see all of this coming through? Amen. Hear, hear, Marion. Marion, can you run for mayor of LA, please?
I swear, I'd love to. I'd love to because
pay your AGLA dues. Join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Donate money to the PAC. These are all ways you can help get your voice heard. Write letters to your congressman. Tell them how disappointed you are in their lack of leadership. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can, and then, and then, look, Arlene says, done, join me, help, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm willing to do it all day
We'll
long.
all do it. Come on, you guys.
I think there's enough dissatisfied owners. We can make a difference, especially if we are able to point out to society that the very people that are making the laws is a conflict of interest because they're voting in favor of themselves. Who's ever heard of that kind of bullshit? Who?
Right.
It's like sitting at the table and your CEO and you're the one that always dictates how much you're going to get and nobody else has a say so on how much they're going to get. And if we're going to start with this bullshit, I say that we ought to go for broke and let them all know if you're going to chastise us and penalize us, what we need to do is penalize every freaking body else too. How about the doctors? How about everybody else needs to take a cut? If we want to help the people that were subjected and victimized by the fire, no problem. Let's all take a part. You want to take 25% of yours or less on your salary, Newsom, and all the rest of the assholes. Let them take a hit too. Why do we always have to take the hit?
Miriam.
Huh?
Hold on.
Okay.
They raised over $225 million to help the aid of the fires. They don't need our money. It's bullshit.
That's exactly what it is.
Bureaucracy and bullshit. Mel Gibson is fighting on the phone with Demi Moore over who's going to pay $17,000 a night to stay at the Regent Beverly Wilshire while they're in town because they just lost their LA homes. They still have New York homes. They're not complete. And even if they are completely out, they have insurance that's going to pay this and they have the bankroll. And come on, if that happened in our neighborhood, we sure in the hell wouldn't be fighting to stay at the Regent Beverly Wilshire.
Exactly.
$17,000 a night. No. I mean, that's like go buy each of your tenants a Honda. Right. What are you doing?
This is crooked in the worst kind of way. I haven't seen so much crookedness.
But at least the victims that are affected by this are in a financial position and not in dire straits.
Exactly. They're not homeless.
Bingo. And if they are, it's by choice. Just saying, because they have the resources. You know, and I have a great example. I have a family member. He's an attorney. She's a teacher. They have two incomes. They live in Altaloma. Is that it? Or is it Altadena? I always mess it up.
Altadena.
Thank you. It starts with an A. It's how my brain works. Everything's alphabetized in my brain Rolodex. Sorry. But they live there. It takes two incomes to make it go. They have a child that is about 11 and they're not hungry. They're not starving to death. They're not homeless. They're not. Do you understand? They're in a good financial position. They have savings in the bank account. And for the majority, the people that were affected that actually were impacted by these fires, not affected, because affected is a broad term, impacted, much bigger term. Exactly. The people that were impacted are financially stable. They don't need our help, but they raised over $200 million. What the hell are they going to do with that?
You know what? They're only going to see the people that really need it. They're only going to see approximately 10 to 15% of that. The rest is going to go in somebody else's pocket. in the story. That's the way it's always been with all of these groups that they congregate and get together. Oh, we're gonna
Here,
help.
here, you guys want to help directly?
Yes.
You really want to help directly?
Yes.
Hold on. Somebody help me type this email address in, okay? Because you guys know me and I get in the middle of everything. Okay, just hang on.
Okay.
Eaton, EATON dot fire dot neighbors at gmail.com. Eaton dot fire dot neighbors at gmail.com. You want to help victims directly? Everybody got that? Let me tell you what happened. The victims of the Eaton fire, all the neighbors got together, okay? All the neighbors got together and they're all sharing resources and listings and vacancies, and they're trying to help each other and do the neighbor thing. So this is someone that has generated this group of neighbors within the community of themselves, and it's just like you or me. You know, it's one person that took control and said, here's an email address. I will be in contact with all the neighboring residents.
And see, that's the way life used to be before government got
Bingo.
involved.
Bingo. So what I do now is I send this group the AGLA stuff and what AGLA's doing and what Rent Spree's doing and what we're all trying to do together. And I'm sending them the civil codes, telling them, hey, if somebody's gouging you, call the cops. Don't call an attorney. That's a big one. They didn't know that. They didn't know they could call the police. Okay. So also trying to genuinely help the victims of the fires. Okay. But for the most part, they have insurance. They're in hotels. They're not miserable. They're a little uncomfortable.
Well,
You're trying to get them housing. Okay. So things are coming together, but it's going to come together slowly. Okay. So just be supportive as we can. Don't get yourself in a bind by raising your rent too high, you guys. Please, for the love of God, don't do it. Apparently, 2 people have already received tickets. Okay, don't do it. If you're scared of comparing apples for apples, we have a whole group of people here that would be more than willing to be a second set of eyes for you. I will. Okay, we're all a second set of eyes, a third set of eyes. Help each other so we don't end up in orange. Okay. I don't look good in orange, I promise. Okay, I see a whole bunch more stuff coming in. Eaton fire neighbors. Okay. Yeah, I try to stay out of the politics, but yes, exactly. Sometimes we just need to go directly to the source, go straight to where we can help. And like I said, my nephew worked at the Pasadena School District for a long time, a long time. And he moved out of there literally 4 months before this happened. So all of his friends are there, all of his colleagues are there. And that's why I am able to tell you about all these little groups, is he's in that niche, if that makes sense. And I'm just trying to help him help his friends out. And they're good people, you know, these are people with FICO scores and jobs, and you know what I mean? They're not people where you're going to have to say, well, I'm going to waive the deposit. No, they have the deposit money. That's not the problem. They have the deposit money. They have the FICO score. Don't fear them, okay? And if they lost their property, for the most part, they are median income. They're one of us.
Personally, I knew someone that lost their home and everything along with the, you know, the family. They were safe, but everything they ever had, they had lived in Altadena for 38 years. And I asked her, give me your Zelle information. I Zelled her $500.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got you. I have a friend in Pacific Palisades that lost everything. He went to work, and when he went to go home, there was no home to go home to.
Right. And yet the insurance company told them that it was going to take 5 business days before they can send them some money, and they need it closed now. It was a gift. It's not a loan.
Honey, I get it. It's thy neighbor. That's why I told you, here's the email that goes directly to one neighbor that said, here, I will get the resources out to the fellow neighbors. But that email addresses people directly impacted by the fires. They are displaced. They lost their rental homes if they were renters. And don't fear them, because those are the renters you want, you guys. These are the ones that have 2 household incomes. Got it? They have good FICO scores, good careers. They just choose to be renters. And that's me trying to be helpful, you guys. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. I know somebody that's taken in animals trying to help. I have a friend that took in somebody's sheep from the fire because all of their corrals burned. They took in their sheeps and their goats. I'm like, hey, anything we can do to help, man? Because I hate to tell you this, but no hotel is going to take your sheep, your goats, whatever else you got. I mean, they're just not going to do it. So there was a need for that. So far, that's filtered out nicely. Here's what I could tell each and every one of you, okay? Mark my words. Between now and the next 18 months in LA County, the cost of a sheet of plywood is going to skyrocket right along with the cost of a 2x4. So I strongly suggest and highly recommend that you go purchase 5 sheets of plywood and 10 2x4s and put them in the loft of your garage. You can just shoot those sheets of plywood up there and stack the 2x4s on top of them. Why am I telling you to do this? Because sitting in the rafters of your garage, you guys aren't going to believe this. Sev was calling me from First Century Bank. I'm going to call him later and give him some garbage. Don't call me on a Wednesday when I'm live. Sorry. Okay, forgot what I was talking about. Somebody reel me back in.
Okay, about the 2x4s and the cost.
Okay, the reason why I'm telling you guys to do this is from time to time, we need a 2x4, we need a sheet of plywood for a rental property. We got to go board up a window, we got to go board up a door, something happens, we need it for whatever. I got a feeling that the price of these materials, because of supply and demand, is going to skyrocket, especially in LA County. So if you live within the county, just go buy it now, store it in your garage. It's not gonna rot sitting up in your attic, okay, in the eaves of your garage, okay? It's gonna stay nice and flat up there. It's not gonna get wet and get ruined. If you need it, you have it, and you're not paying a plethora of money for it.
Hey, Patty.
That's all. Yes.
Just to let you know, I'm a general contractor. Just to let people know who live in LA, they better get generators. And they're overpriced right now because you gotta remember when we cut into lines and they cut into post, it's going to be off and on, off and on, off and on. And sometimes you're going to be down for hours. There's nothing they can do. And then if they have renters, the renters are going to be down for days sometimes when you're cutting into the electrical posts. Because I was out there last Wednesday, and it was one of the worst things I ever seen. You know what I mean? And it looked like
my God.
it looks like if you look at those, you guys ever watch
you know what I
TV
would
with Russia
describe
and
this?
them,
You know
like
what I would
Russia and
describe
Iraq
it?
or whatever those.
Yes,
a bomb.
if I ever had to go experience a war zone, that's what I
Exactly.
would describe it as.
Oh, yeah.
It's a war zone. It's
And you gotta
horrible.
remember, they said condos are going to be coming because we were there. They said there's going to be a lot of people that just can't afford it. And a bunch of condos are going to come in. And now we're going to be looking at LA as an AI, just like I was talking to a lot of people there, AI like Hawaii, a lot of AI there.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this out loud just so everybody's paying attention. California Building Code says now, if starting January 1st, 2024 or 2025, I don't remember, because right now it doesn't matter. Any new construction requires no natural gas appliances,
100%. I was just going to say that.
only solar panels and electric. So we all laugh and joke and they're going to build smart cities. They're required to. Pay attention.
Mhm.
Don't get upset because they're building smart cities. They're required to. It's built by design.
And I believe like, I think in July, there's Home Depots and other places are no longer just able to sell any gas stoves or anything like that. I think it's July 1st, no gas stoves or anything. And again,
Oh,
I'm gonna go back to
wait a
who you
minute,
vote
wait a
for.
minute, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. So what I just heard Anthony say to us landlords that have gas stoves in our properties is that we need to go buy some more igniter switches right now before we can. Is that what I heard, Anthony?
Yes,
Go
definitely.
Go buy parts for your oven before you can't, because
Yeah.
once it takes a crap, you're gonna have to replace it with electrical.
Remember, that's the same thing as weed eaters and gas blowers. Everyone's going to Arizona to pick them up. So sooner or later, they're going to catch you coming down, and it's going to be a fine or whatever. So
Okay,
remember,
so I gotta say something about that, okay? And hey, Blondie over here, okay? So the house I live in was my grandparents' house, but I had it for a rental for a while. Tenants destroyed it. I'm back in it now. Whatever. It has this weird thing in the toilet, Anthony. It's like this little bucket like this that the water goes into instead of filling up the whole tank. But I'm telling you, it doesn't even hold 10 ounces of water. It's not enough to flush a Kleenex down the toilet. I need help. Somebody has put a water restrictive flow contraption in my toilet and I need help.
give me a call.
It's what we're required to do nowadays.
I
you
know.
guys. It's what we're required to do, and it doesn't work. It's disgusting. You know, it's like I need to go to Arizona to buy guts
Yes.
for the inside of my toilet just so I can flush it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So how much time does Newsom have in his position?
2
2
years.
years.
2 more years. Wow.
Wow, we asked that one. 2 years. He's got 2 more years to screw us over, and he will continue to do so.
Hey guys, and just forget about who's president. Let's worry about California. Like
Yes.
what
We
we're
know.
doing is taking our eyes off the prize. As a contractor owning a real estate company, and a landlord, and we property manage, we take our eyes off the prize. And that's what they do. They fight up there among each other, but California sneaks in all these rules and stuff like that and ruins us as landlords, all of us.
Right.
I got lawyers in the family, Patty knows, right? And
Absolutely.
they've explained it to me that most real estate law, except like Section 8 stuff, is all state law. So it's all the assembly for state stuff, and then it's the county for unincorporated county and those lovely 5 women. And now I guess I don't know how long it's going to take to have 9 people. Maybe that'll change things. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. And then you have the city count. For me personally, we have a few properties in the city of Los Angeles. So we have our what are they called? Democratic Socialists,
Yes.
multiple of them. And of course, they seem to occupy the housing committee.
Right. And what I call it the Robin Hood mentality, because it's take from those who have and accomplished and give it to the have-nots that didn't do a damn thing. That's really what it is. In a
It
nutshell.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
It just seems like we can turn this shit out. I mean, get real crazy and turn it out and do something crazy and then get pardoned after we do the crazy shit,
Hey, the only thing that would have made a better debauchery of our whole system would have been if Biden pardoned Trump too.
No. Well, that would have been, I think that would have
That
been,
would have just painted the picture of this is all such
no.
bullshit.
I can one up you. What if he pardoned himself?
Can they do that?
I mean, can you pardon your family prospectively?
They did it. He did it.
Can you pardon somebody that doesn't have any charges against them?
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's pardon in the future, right? It's got to be something. I just can't imagine that we can be beat up and beat down this much without a fight.
Right. What thickness of plywood would I recommend? I don't know what you may need the plywood for. So 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. I wouldn't buy 1 inch plywood because that's going to give you more of a structural sound base if you have it standing up and be able to hold something. You're not trying to build a storage shed. You're trying, you get me? So I would say probably 1/2 inch, 3/4 at the most, but I'd be like 1/2 inch. If you're just boarding up windows, 1/4 inch works good. I mean, the idea is to keep people out. Get a
Is-
couple lag bolts too.
Anybody on this call, I'd love to see a show of hands. If you could do that for us, that things are gonna get better over the next 2 years? Or do we think that everything is just gonna go all the way down to the point where we're gonna have to surrender and say, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't take another fee. I can't take another bill. I can't take another increase. Let me just give it up. Are there any people that have been in this industry for a long time, like myself, over 38 years? And I've never seen anything like this, and it's really disheartening to say the least. But is there anybody that actually feels there's going to be an improvement in favor of the landlords? We are the home providers. We are providing the homes. We're paying for everything, but it seems like they want us to pay for all the expenses and let everybody have shit for free.
I'm
feel
gonna say, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say, I feel like we might be able to hold the line and keep it from getting worse if everybody starts to get organized and pay attention and basically harass them constantly to the point where they don't want the harassment. They don't want people showing up at council meetings. They don't want people showing up at board of supervisor meetings. They don't want their offices to get at the state level to get inundated with calls. I think you potentially could hold the line if there really is like a renaissance and a waking up, especially with Trump winning. But I can't see it getting a lot better. Personally, my family, our situation is we're hoping to avail ourselves of, well, my parents are at least, the step up in basis. So it's purely taxes. And then we've discussed, 1031s into a Delaware statutory trust to try and be passive and get out of all this pain in the butt and fees and all of it and overregulation. But like most of the people who are putting those together, they're like worse than life insurance salesmen. I got a package today I just called my mailbox about, and that's what it is. They're just like spamming us, and it's like, whoa. I need time to do research to even understand basic stuff. And we feel that a lot of stuff's risky. We have friends who like bought it, there's a woman I know who has a Walgreens is closing the store. So she's now, and it's mortgaged. So she now not only doesn't have an anchor tenant, but and the income from it, but now she's got to pay the mortgage too until she can get rid of it. So I mean, the plan is eventually to get the F out of California. Like, this is crazy.
I'm
And
gonna
see,
say, I don't have any rentals in LA, so.
that's where the key is for me. It's LA County. Because when you get into Riverside County and San Bernardino County, where Anthony and I are, we don't have these problems.
Okay.
Right, and I still think things are looking up because people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And what is it, Patty, isn't California, I think it's like 80%, 86% landlords are actually mom and pop people.
Right.
Just like you and I, all of us on this
But
call.
86% of all residents of the state of California are tenants.
Right. So the thing is, I would, I would look at it, if you're in out Los Angeles, I'd look at it, the half glass is empty and full type of situation. If we're in San Bernardino County and Riverside and the high desert,
We're like
future looks bright.
90% full, right?
Right. Yeah, and we do a lot of business with the vets and battered women of organizations that really actually give us the money from Riverside to actually deal with them for Section 8 dealing with Riverside. It's a little bit different in LA. I understand what you're saying about moving a lot of your properties. That I see that happening a lot. But I believe, I just believe there's a good future ahead of us because everything has shifted one way, like it or not, who you voted for. But again, I don't care who you voted for. Let's care who you vote for in the next election in California.
Yeah,
Because
no,
everything comes
voted
off
a
of
certain-
California first.
I
Yeah.
voted a certain color spectrum that matches my shirt straight down the line.
I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot of landlords vote the same color spectrum. So just to say that it is what it is. I don't want to talk politics. At the end of the day, we're all human and we're all
I'm the one
landlords.
that can't talk the politics, you guys. Every time I mention something like that, I lose a couple of members. Every time
So
I say something,
let's just move forward. But I agree. I think we're okay, Patty, especially in San Bernardino, LA. Everyone's sick and tired of being sick and tired. And there's a lot of landlords. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, and for the most part, we see a lot of owners getting out of the LA area and reinvesting in Riverside and San Bernardino, where they don't have all those restrictions. Yes, I stay current on them because I also own property in the Devil's Cauldron so that I can stay current with the new laws that are hitting us and affecting us. Because if I didn't have skin in the game, I wouldn't be able to help you guys, if that makes sense. I'd just be another politician telling y'all what to do without knowing or having any involvement, because that's what they seem to be doing, right? I'm not that person. I have something still in the city of LA and still in the county of LA, and I'll probably keep it that way for a while. But for the most part, I moved the majority of my investments to other counties. I did not leave the state. Okay. And it's just because I don't want to dance at 4%. Okay. If I have somebody in a property, and just hear me out, please, just hear me out, because it's simple business. Okay. If I have somebody living in a property and my rent is $2,000 a month, okay, $2,000, and I don't have any cushion, I don't have any wiggle room. My mortgage is $2,000 a month, okay, and I am breaking even. Now the water heater goes out. What do I do?
Yeah, we don't, it's a little bit different because the vast majority have already been paid for over the years because parents.
I get it, but now I can't raise the rent to cover the expense of that water heater.
Yeah,
So
it's
how
the-
can
it's the
I do?
insurance. It's
Right.
the insurance. It's the
Right.
insurance that's killing us.
And it's the insurance. Have you called my guy over at Homewell yet? Call my guy over at Homewell. Or Arlene has an insurance guy. Arlene, are you still on here?
Hi,
I
Patty.
have-
It's Christina.
Hi, baby.
I'm coming on late because I was at Agla's lunch and learn today, and they were talking about insurance.
Okay.
And there was a guy, his name was Ben Sardo from Kern Insurance, and
Okay.
he was a big resource for commercial properties that are getting dropped. So
Oh.
Kern Insurance is a good one that I just listened to.
Current.
Kern, Kern. His
And
name
his
was
name-
Ben Sardo, and he was saying that his policies, he's a broker and they are a little bit more expensive, but the coverage that he provides is pretty solid, and that he's there to help you as a risk mitigator. And he was really well spoken and seemed like he was an advocate for landlords.
Good. We need more of
so-
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And-
Thank you.
And that's
Mhm.
great. I wanted to share this with everyone in the first place. As of this coming Saturday, I was going to be without insurance. I had actually reached out to 5 different companies, insurance companies, and Homewell. I had reached out not to 1, not to 2, but 3 of them. They never, ever returned my call. They didn't get back to me. End of story. Not a text message, nothing. So anyway, I reached out to another guy, and he said, take this number down, call this guy. This was on Monday. Okay, today's Wednesday. I want you guys to know within an hour I had insurance and very favorable premium. I was going from 2,200, and this guy was able to get me a full policy, not California Fair Plan, for $3,800. Whereas the other property, I got insurance and I had shopped everywhere, and I wound up getting an insurance broker. Okay. And he put me with a California Fair Plan. I went from 2,200 per year to $8,474 per year. So with this new guy, I'm going to transfer everything to him and hope that he can find me. He said, let me be clear that the insurance that I'm getting, it will not be in California. Everything I'm shopping for is outside. I said, as long as I'm covered 100%, I'm good.
Well, I think that's it. I think in LA, and I hate to say it this way, but the first battle that you had was when they raised the trash bills so atrociously.
That's right.
Okay,
Right.
that was the first clue for me, is why are they attacking? Because tenants aren't responsible to pay trash, owners are. Why are they attacking the homeowner? Why are they gouging the owner so bad with the trash bill? And then it's city restrictions. So, and now it's insurance. It seems like in LA, it's always a battle with something.
Right.
Just
It's
saying.
by design. It's not an accident. They don't want mom and pops in. They want the the Blackstones to come in and sweep up everything.
Bye, Ivana. People are saying bye. We're like an hour over because we're all just ranting on here.
It's therapy.
Yeah, it keeps me up at night. I won't lie. It keeps me up at night, tossing and turning, wondering what.
Miriam,
Yeah.
can you give us that agent's info, please?
Oh, absolutely. More than happy to. Let me give it to you right now. Hold on.
Okay. Other members are asking.
He did it.
I love that we have this and it's just less structured than AGLA. You know what I mean? I couldn't see doing this with 600 people all at once.
Hold on 1 minute. Here we go. His name is David Morris. His telephone number is 323-833-9912. And if I have the time, I'll type it in the chat box.
Thank you.
What's the company?
It's called, he's a broker. It's called Morris Insurance Agency.
Like Morris?
Morris, Morris.
Okay, thank you.
His name is David Morris. So I'm going to type it in right now. Amazing.
Perfect, thank you.
In 1 hour, I had insurance, you guys.
That's awesome. Just so everybody knows, we have some upcoming Widgets Way things going on. We have a couple of guest podcasts we'll be doing. So I believe it's next Wednesday with Widget. We're going to be live with Christy Kelly from, well, previously from AGLA, previously from the California Apartment Association. She's a leasing specialist. She also sits on the board with Fair Housing in the city of Riverside as one of their mediators. So she's here to answer our questions, help talk to us. With the help of you guys in a live Widgets Way, we hope to be able to do a podcast type event. So that's what we're hoping for next Wednesday, just so that you're aware. So if you see somebody splitting the screen with me, just know that that's Christy Kelly. We also have a guest appearance coming in the very near future from our Cash for Keys attorney, Sasha Struthers. And I am working on getting us insurance and a banker. So I'm on a mission. You will see that next Wednesday, and you'll see emails come about as soon as I tie Sasha down. I want to question her about some Cash for Keys stuff and see what she has to say, because I learned something very, very important from her. If you want to hire somebody to help you do a Cash for Keys agreement because you've broken the relationship with your tenant, don't pester him anymore. Leave him alone. Then let the pro go in there. If you go in there and just destroy it, it could make things worse. So if you're going to hire a professional, hire a professional. Let them handle it first and foremost, because it's so hard for us to go try to negotiate with the tenant after you've done it and failed, because then it feels like I had the worst analogy right now. Feels like you're trying to take an ex back. And you know, that's just not a good idea. You should never take an ex back, right? So being funny, but it's hard once the relationship's broken. And once it's broken and you realize it's broken, don't break it any further. Back up, let a professional property manager step in, let a professional attorney step in to help negotiate a Cash for Keys, whatever it is that you need. But there comes a point where you have to realize, I'm beating my head into the wall. I'm not going anywhere. Stop beating your head into the wall and call a pro, okay? Just saying. And we don't look good in orange. So please, I beg you, you guys, watch your apples for apples. That's where you get in trouble. I see the insurance information, the thorough. Oh, I see something for money. Hang on. Sorry to get off the fire issues. As you may remember, I have a dog bite lawsuit. Yes, Val. My insurance company dropped me. Oh, that's bullshit. Even though this case is still pending and may not be settled for several years. I just renewed with a different insurer. The premium is double. I certainly plan to raise this guy's rent when I can in August. But how can I make this guy pay for my insurance premium doubling? You can't. I can only raise his rent by $100. But you're right. You can't. You can't. You can't. And I get it. It's like all of Southern California was hit by the insurance BS. No joke. No joke. but I don't see a way to offset that expense to him. I'd love to tell you there's a way to do it, but there's not. No, we don't hate renters. We love their money. We don't hate them. We love their money. And we actually need them to make our business work. Sometimes we hate the things they do, but we don't hate them. Okay? We need them.
I will say I'm a mom and pop renter. I have 2 renters. They are 180 degrees from each other. One is a dream. One is an, excuse me, complete asshole who I'm in the eviction process. If I had 2 of the dream tenants, I probably wouldn't be on this Zoom. But thank you, Patty, for teaching us so much.
It's the complete asshole that wakes you up inside.
Oh yeah.
And makes you realize that you really should know more about the industry you're involved
yeah.
in. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it really, and it, sometimes you need that person to wake you up inside.
Oh yeah.
So,
It
see, you need to
changed-
know.
Yep, it has changed my perspective. We've been mom and pop landlords in the city of Los Angeles, where, by the way, our council member, newly elected, is a tenants' rights attorney, which is a joke. I am gonna try and meet with her one-on-one because that's the kind of crazy person I am, and I'll bug her. You know, I am not.
Oh, I like you. Okay, we're gonna have conversations because
Yep.
go be friends with her. Take her to lunch. Befriend her. Find out what her favorite color is. We'll all pitch in to buy her flowers. Whatever.
I can play the
you need.
game.
Yeah, game on, baby. Because we're all supporting you. Go.
Yep.
Go
Yep.
find. Because what I need you to do is absorb like a sponge and play stupid.
Oh, I can do that all day long.
Yeah, please, please.
Because the sad thing is, my CD14 is Boyle Heights, East LA. There's a lot of shit that needs to be done over there in a way that represents the community. You know, I'm a middle of the road politically. I see both sides.
Oh, so do I. So do I.
But this RSO stuff is bullshit, and the way they move the goalpost completely. I mean, I just
Wait,
when I try and
they
explain
only
it to
move the
non-landlords.
goalposts. They move the goalposts every time the wind blows.
Yeah, you know,
Yes.
just like the new the JCUs that went through. That's bullshit.
The JCO, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the pendulum will swip. It's got to be common sense. It's just ridiculous. I don't know.
I can see it going either direction. My crystal ball's broken. The reality is I'd love to be able to tell you it's all going to change with the new administration and once we get Newsom out and Karen Bass, but the reality is I don't know any of that. The reality is regardless of what size the mud ball is that they're slinging in my direction, I still need to figure out how to maneuver through it because I'm still invested in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. And if not for you, Patty and Agla, I'd be like,
Oh, thank you. I try to listen. I think one of my favorite analogies, and Christina was there when it happened, is somebody got up to talk about their company and their business and were affiliated through whatever. And she said, yeah, one day I just happened to meet Patty and I called her crying and everybody in the audience laughed. And I realized in that moment, that's what they do. They call me crying and not literally boo-hoo crying, but crying, help me, I need help with this and help me, I need help with that. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it is boo-hoo crying.
I was literally boo-hoo crying.
You're not boo-hoo crying now, are you? Are you boo-hooing now?
No, not about the same things. But
No, you are like Peach about that problem. You got a new problem, but you still own rental property. So hey.
And this is my last question, Patty, regarding Struthers, the negotiation for cash for keys lady. If you already have an attorney, which I do, and I'm going to trial on Monday, which I'm pretty certain because it is it's going to be a jury trial and they're going to be probably deferring it probably 2 to 3 more times. What I'm asking is, do I still default and ask her, although I have an attorney representing me, or do I have both attorneys get together because she's the expert and he's not? I need to know how to handle that situation.
I have to think about that, so give me a
Okay.
second, okay?
Okay.
Because remember, if you serve a notice and then you go talk about something, you could void the notice. That's how you waive it.
Right.
They waived the notice by offering me cash for keys. It's called a waiver, okay? So me thinking out loud, thank you all. Allie, I love you, girl. You have no idea. Is I believe that you can only have one legal person representing you. Now, you could have a conversation with the attorney that's helping you with the eviction, saying that you have a cash for keys attorney that's going to go approach the tenant. But the reality is the one that's holding the eviction is going to want that money and go, no, I can do that for you. Or we can negotiate and settlement. I'll try to settle, but you're going to try a settlement agreement in court anyway. And you're at a jury trial. When did you file the case?
It was filed in October the 8th last year. 2020.
October, November. So you're going to be at the mandatory settlement conference, if I had to guess, somewhere by April, May.
Okay.
So with that said, if it was me in the game, I would be contacting my legal counsel demanding that they try to do a settlement agreement immediately to settle for possession as quickly as possible. Waiver of past due rents, whatever it is that did, and have the attorney approach them and see if they're at that point yet.
Okay.
If she's playing the game, you're not at that point yet. You won't be there till April or May.
Okay.
So, I honestly, I wouldn't mess around with it. And that's my opinion. I would talk to Sasha. I'd keep her in my arsenal. But if you're already this far in an eviction, don't do anything to screw it up.
Yeah. The good news is I did get a letter from LAHD dismissing her case. She brought two cases against me, calling it harassment. Harassment was me giving her 24-hour notices to enter to do the work that she complained about. And every time we show up with my crew to do the work, she would not let us in. So finally, I just got the letter just yesterday, and they dismissed her case because they were obviously able to see that it's all bullshit that she's doing just to avoid the eviction.
Yeah. And they know they can avoid the eviction by having the record sealed. What you guys need to know is if they don't move out when they were supposed to, you can do a declaration of non-compliance and have the record unsealed.
Okay. I did call Section 8 though, Patty, and they told me that all the owner has to do once the case is settled is to let them know upon the settlement that this person is a very problematic person, and to put them put them in their records, and also to say I can request. I talked to a head person there. I can request that this person not be given Section 8 anymore. I said, "You're kidding." She says, "No," and I did it, and I also am a landlord myself. You don't believe it?
No, I do believe it.
But
I have to be careful what information I arm you with, because harassment in LA is real.
Harassment. How do we define harassment? Me giving a person 24-hour notice?
No, I didn't say that about them having to lose their Section 8.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You get where you went straight for the jugular about them losing Section 8.
Oh, yeah.
In those definite terms. Remember, we want to speak in non-absolutes.
Okay.
Could, should, might, most likely, maybe. Okay. Is it a cause for being evicted for failure to allow entry? Yes. Is it something I would argue in LA? No. You know more than anybody else in this group, especially right now. How much money do we have to spend to prove that we're right?
Well, I got all of the recordings, so that is definitely in my favor. The
But if
person
you haven't started a court case yet, get the attorney involved.
I did.
That's when you talk to Sasha
Okay, I did.
before a court case is filed.
Oh, before the court case.
Yeah. Before the court case, because once you get into a court case, you don't want to do anything to mess that up.
Okay, so go all the way, you're saying. If I go that far, go all the way.
Well, you had the one that we were going all the way until we weren't getting anywhere, and the judge was scratching his head and the tenant scratching their head, and then they come up with this ridiculous stipulated agreement that you could never evict your tenant. Okay, and I'm like, no, screw that, dismiss the case, start over, she didn't pay you.
Exactly. So
If
now,
you guys are banging your head against a wall and you're not going anywhere, the only option you have is to back the car up, right? Because we can't keep going forward. We're in traffic. We got to back the car up and find a different route, right? Same thing, but in a court case, just a different analogy. Okay. Sometimes on the path we're on, we can't get there. There's something blocking the road. Whatever it is, sometimes we need to find a different path. I've done that before. And now Miriam's that you thought I was crazy when we talked about that, didn't you? But it worked.
and I went and what I did though.
And it worked.
Yeah, and it worked, but I had the case dismissed without prejudice so I can bring it back again. So, and this time when it comes to the stipulation, you told me what type of stipulation to write up and I have it written down, but I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's a stipulation where if she should default, then we can uncap the case.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm planning on doing.
Well, what you're speaking of, just so we're all on the same page, because now somebody else is going, what's she talking about? Is a declaration of non-compliance. Whenever you guys have a stipulated agreement, that is a court order that you two came to an agreement and the court enforces it, okay? What if they didn't do what they said they were gonna do? That's when the declaration of non-compliance comes in.
Okay.
What that does is says they didn't comply with this. We want to reverse everything we agreed to. So now the money's due, the eviction shows on their credit report, whatever the terms of the stip were, you can undo it with the declaration of non-compliance for the most part. In LA County, I believe they require you to go in ex parte notification for the declaration of non-compliance.
Okay.
In some other counties, they don't require you to go in person ex parte to do a declaration of non-compliance. In other words, in LA, you got to have to pay for an attorney appearance to do that if you didn't represent yourself. All right, does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to end this for today. We've had a great bitch fest because instead of 1 hour, we did 2. That's crazy. Time flies when we're talking houses, right?
Patty, I just had a quick question on proof of service. Is that
I'll
more
see you
for
tomorrow?
Wait, sorry, Patty.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is that more for proof of service? Is that, oh yeah, you said tomorrow. I didn't hear you. I just heard like the ending of it. Yes, sounds good. Proof of service, is that just more for our records? And then obviously if something were to go to court, because it says on there, declare under perjury or whatever, on filling that out, then that's if in the event it goes to court.
So you want me to teach you a secret?
Yes.
I only fill out a proof of service if I'm going to court.
Oh, you don't like fill it out like for rent increase, like for when I was in corporate, we always had to fill it out, and I forgot to fill it out last year when I did my rent increases. So this year when I served it did rent increases yesterday, that's when I texted you. I filled mine out, and then I'm like, oh, I should fill mine out from last year, even though I know I was supposed to fill it out last year. And
here's the reality of what you're asking me. And yes, in corporate, we did one with every document we served. We had to. Okay. Accountability, responsibility. That's what that is. Okay. But here's the reality now that you're on the other side of the fence. Okay. The only person that needs to see a proof of service is your attorney or a judge in a court of law. So why waste the paper if you're not going to go to court? If you are going to go to court,
okay.
If you are going to go to court, you can then say, yes, I personally served them this rent increase. I did it because you have all those notes. So
Got
then
it.
you
Okay.
just sign, you get what I'm saying?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So yes, to answer the question from corporate America, we always complete a proof of service for every document that we serve, because that's the correct thing to do. But now that you're on the other side of the fence, save a tree. If you know you're not going to end up in court over that document, why bother? Because it just sits in your file
Got it.
until
Thank
you
you.
need it. And that's just my opinion. The correct process and procedure is to serve a proof, have a proof of service on file for everything you serve. But we learn that in our industry, that comes from how we were trained. I was going to say raised. Proof of service can be notified if needed. It's only for your files. Do what you need to do, but it's up to you.
Well, thank you, Val.
And I thank you, Val. It's hard because we have such a diverse group of members in Widget's Way. And a lot of them don't want other people to know, hey, don't let them know I did this for a living, or don't let them know I did that for a living. Hey, you don't have to tell me I evicted people for a living. You don't have to tell me. I know that we don't want all this stuff going around of what we do. But you guys need to know that you have a very, very interesting group of people in our Widgets Way group that you would have never guessed that they're right here in this group with you. Yes, Val, what's up? Patty can't tell you this. Yes, Patty can't tell you this. Thank you, Val. Val knows I got to be careful what I say regarding a proof of service. Best practice, take a photo of the posting. There you go.
Always do that.
If you personally give it to them, though, take it before obviously handing it to them, Patty.
I post it to the door with a 12-gauge shotgun. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I did hear somebody laugh. I'm totally joking, you guys.
Because it sounds like me.
Sorry, my dad wanted a boy. Sorry.
This ignorant woman that I've been dealing with for 5 years, I can send her, I can post something on the door.
Melanie, no.
Huh?
I'm telling Melanie no.
Okay.
If you're doing a rent increase, it must be certified mail, in my opinion. Two things I send certified on a proof of service or any kind of notification. One of them is a rent increase and the other one is a termination of tenancy. It is not required under California statute to do certified mail. But if there's two things I want to prove, it's get out or I raised your rent. So those are the two things I use it for. Other than that, I try to do personal service. It's the best way. Post and mail is the second best. The third way, which is, hold on, I had a brain fart. Subservice is a bad decision. Usually the person that you're subserving shows up to be a minor, even though they have beards. Don't ask. Don't ask. But it just, subservice usually is bad. So I try to avoid it.
So Patty, if you went to the door, you stuck it on the door, you sent it certified mail, that person rejects it, sends it back to you. So even though it was a rent increase and you keep sending it and they keep sending it back, how do you handle that?
When are they at the property? You know when.
I know always when. I have cameras up.
Do they come to the door?
Nope.
Do they leave to go to work?
Yes, at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. Yep.
Christina, I know you're still on here and you're gonna laugh. Miriam.
Yep.
Show up there with a bouquet of flowers, like you're delivering flowers to the tenant.
Okay.
They'll open the frickin' door.
Okay, so have somebody else. Not gonna open the door for me, I guarantee you. She hasn't in 5 years.
If someone is standing there with a bouquet of flowers,
Hmm?
she will open the door.
Not from me.
No, it doesn't have to be you. It can be anybody.
Okay.
You're serving the notice with the bouquet. Hi,
Okay,
are you blank, blank, blank? Yes, I have something for you. Okay, they open the door. You hand them the notice, not the flowers.
okay, okay. Flower delivery.
I have some real shady ways of doing things, but
Patty, you're very tricky.
hey, aren't you glad I'm on your side of the fence?
Flower delivery with notice. Got it.
Hi, are you Joe Blow? Yes, I'm Joe. These are for you. It's the notice, not the flowers.
I love it. I love it.
I've done some very interesting things in my career. Tell me what your guys' problems are. Tell me what your struggles are. I'll tell you what I've done.
Okay.
And then you always got to look at, wait, Patty, is there anything illegal, immoral, or unethical about what you just said? I'm just being funny. Remember, I'm a little creative sometimes, but no, you can do that. There's no problem with asking if Joe Blow is here. Yes, Joe's here. Well, I have something for him. When he opens the door, hand him the notice.
And Val says, or a pizza.
A 6-pack of beer, some balloons. You never know.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Go
When
ahead.
when it works, and you're laughing,
Mhm.
okay? And you're like, I had no idea it could be that simple. And it just, yeah, sometimes it is. When they want to be that stupid, sometimes we can be that catty.
Yeah. Yep. I've never dealt with anyone this insane before, ever.
Honey, you just got to reach deep down inside your arsenal
Mhm.
and that bag of chicks.
Yeah.
Val says, don't send a stripper.
No, that's not gonna work.
Send a midget stripper. It could get exciting. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You're teaching us trade secrets.
Hey, you're the one with the jewelry collection. All right. You guys, today's been a lot of fun. Thank you. I've needed this. It's like a little group therapy session, you know?
Thank you all. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
If you need a mortgage person for your podcast, you can provide a resource. Awesome. Let me know. These are strippers that can dress as cops. Oh, now we got Val on a rant now. You guys better watch out. All right, you guys have a great week. I'm here if you need me. We have 2 special guest speakers coming up. I want to do more special guests. I want to make sure you guys are getting the information that you need, the resources that you need, and that we have good therapy talks. I'm thinking about doing another cocktails and conversation in the near future. So we'll have an evening. Yes, I will come to Orange County. You got it. I will come out there soon, maybe even next week. My schedule for next week right now is open, other than a meeting with attorney Sasha Struthers. So everybody have a great day. I'm here if you need me. Give me a ring. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you, Patty.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.